keynote speaker, and we'll get to you just in a moment or two, Commissioner Fried. So wonderful to have you here. So after Commissioner Fried does her keynote and we have a few questions for her, then we'll jump into our panel of experts from the local, regional, and national community around hunger relief. And we have some questions and we'll have a conversation with you all about hunger relief here, statewide and nationally. So we will look very forward to that. So to start us off, I will pass the torch to Julie Kriefel, who will introduce Commissioner Fried, and we'll start off with her very anticipated keynote. Thank you all so much again, and panelists, we'll see you very soon, and Commissioner Fried, look very forward to hearing from you. Julie, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Seth, and hello, everyone. We're so happy that we've been able to put this together and share information with you today. And certainly, as Seth said, it is our honor and privilege to have Commissioner Nikki Fried with us. She is Florida's 12th Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services. She's a lifelong Floridian, an attorney, and a passionate activist. Commissioner Fried was born and raised in Miami. She graduated from the University of Florida, where she received her bachelor's, master's, and Juris Doctorate degrees. And while there, she served as the student body president, the first woman to hold the position in nearly 2 decades. As an attorney, she was the head of the felony division at the Alachua County Public Defender's Office and worked in private practice in South Florida, defending homeowners against foreclosure back in 2007 and 2008 during the housing crisis. Before she was elected, she worked at various law firms as a government consultant, and in 2017 formed her own firm and was advocating in Tallahassee for at-risk children, for Broward County School District, and other organizations. Throughout her career, she served on many organizations, including Young Lawyers Board of Governors, Chairman of Broward Days Board of Directors, Legal Needs of Children Bar Committee, Girl Scouts of Southeast Florida, University of Florida Government Relations Advisory Committee, University of Florida Board of Trustees, Florida's Children First, and many others. She's also a member of Florida Blue Key, the oldest and most prestigious leadership honorary in the state of Florida. And for more information, if you're interested to read more about Commissioner Fried, please make sure to check her website. And again, we're thrilled and honored to have her with us this afternoon.
Thank you, Julie, for that introduction. And it sounds like a lot of things that I do, it overlaps with a lot of your all's missions as well. So it's great to be here today and share in this true partnership that we have, not only just things that I do as commissioner, but of course, these are things that I've been fighting for but talking about what we are here discussing here today. We know that it's been a hard year all across not just America, but the world. And Florida, unfortunately, was hit harder than happened because of this pandemic, is that we saw chronic hunger getting worse. And more families are needing that extra hand up in these months during the pandemic, and unfortunately, it's still happening today. That before the pandemic, we know that there was millions of families and children that pandemic. We've also seen an increase in this number. 1 million of those are our children. Figure out how to provide for their family to our children. And what's our food insecure. And think about that for 69% of our Hispanic families. And so this really is a public health crisis that we must address. And I really have spent a significant amount of time in my 2.5 years so far educating people. As I've gone around to chambers, and I've gone around to professional groups, to legal groups, and making everybody understand how prevalent this situation is in our communities. Because most people, unless you see it firsthand, you don't really grasp the severity of it and the impact, and trying to make people understand that if children don't eat and don't have access to nutritional meals, they can't survive in the school system. They can't learn, and they drop out, and they become part of the healthcare crisis and part of our criminal justice system, unfortunately. And the same thing with their parents. If their parents are every day trying to struggle to figure out where their next meal comes from, they can't be efficient in the workforce. They are ending up eating processed food, which means that they've got additional healthcare risks. Diabetes, obesity leads to other heart conditions, high blood pressure, which then puts them into the emergency rooms, and a real drain on our healthcare system. So making the business community understand that this has got to be something that we all address and that we all work on together. And so we have been really fighting hard at the state level on this issue as the food agency for the state. Again, not only on trying to address the issues and working with partnerships like United Way and other corporate partners across the state to kind of bring in some of those additional resources, but we are also spending time educating and coming up with outside the box ideas as well. We formed a task force last year, bringing in some fantastic leaders all is to have more public-private partnerships, really come up with some more additional state and local and federal resources to address some of these issues, because this has been a top priority for me, and I know it's a top priority for you all, that we are ensuring that every single kid has food. And that was really important during the pandemic, that when all of our schools were closed, within 24 to 48 hours, my team went into overdrive. On that Friday, schools were closed. By Monday, we made sure that every single county in our state had a plan of how to feed their children during the pandemic with the schools being closed. And that was making sure that our summer break spot locations were up and running, that made sure that every county plan was going to be a little bit different. Some that were more in the rural communities knew that they had to go and deliver the food. In some areas where they knew that families didn't have transportation, they created some types of food trucks and delivery systems. Others were geared towards more of the, important to me also is making sure that it wasn't just their need we were going to provide. That was so important to keep some type of stability during the school closures last year. We oversee the school breakfast program and the feeding program. So right now it's a $1.3 billion program, and that encompasses both breakfast and lunch for our children, as well as summer feeding programs. We serve typically about 319 million meals to almost 3 million of our kids every single year. And that is 71% of those are free or some type of reduced. We distribute about 149 million pounds of the USDA food to families and seniors in need. Again, that is a lot through our TFAP program, which is all of our food banks across the state and partnerships in each of our regions. Again, making sure that our families in need had access, and especially during this pandemic. But you know what unfortunately, what we saw during COVID-19, things got tougher for a lot of our families. So thank God for the Biden and Harris administration that they worked with Congress to pass through the American Rescue Plan. And what that did and what the impact that had on our families across the entire state. One, it extended our SNAP benefits to increase our increase them and extended them through September. We also were able to create aid for food programs across the country as well as in Puerto Rico. So it gave us more flexibility. We were able to continue utilizing the EBT, also increase the WIC programs for so many of our families. And of course, investing in commodity supplemental food programs. You know, we knew the kids that we captured underneath our feeding programs. We knew which families were in need, they were coming. But the segment of our community that was the most hit were our seniors. You know, the seniors that we already knew had, issues getting to the different feeding locations, and now with the inability to get out of their houses, making sure that the food was coming to them. And it was one of those silent groups that weren't in nursing homes, weren't in retirement facilities, were just sometimes living alone. Don't have these readily accessible to order Uber Eats or Instacart, and making sure that we bridge those gaps when so many of those seniors were necessary. So we worked with the Department of Children and Families, which oversees their programs, to make sure that they were doing right by our seniors. But now we know more exactly what kind of programs are in place, and what is necessary to fill a lot of those gaps. So we had part of our federal partnership plan that we submitted after the November election to work with the Biden administration and really enhancing some of those aspects here in the state. So one of the things that I had already called for during my first couple of months in office was universal school meal program, which means more so on the breakfast side of things, because so many of our children, they don't, again, this is the only meal that they get is in school. And a lot of them don't have dinner. And so their first meal would be breakfast. But there's still a stigma attached to a child going into a cafeteria because their peers know why they're going in there. So again, we've been challenging a lot of our school districts to be thinking outside the box of how to get the food to our children, whether that is bringing it into homeroom or first period, having more food trucks around campuses, making it more accessible to kind of break that stigma to make sure that our children felt comfortable eating what they need to start off their day. We've also been asking to enhance our farm to school programs and use our programs here as a national model. And this is everything from our schools having their own gardens and utilizing that food in the actual school cafeteria and utilizing some of those fresh fruits and vegetables that they're growing. Some of the programs, we're just educating our children of how to grow fruits and vegetables. So many of our kids, and I hear this every single day as I travel the state, so many of our kids are like, wait, a tomato grows on the vines, not out of a can. And this is even the basics that we have to be teaching our children. So I see it as a kind of a win-win situation, that not only are we teaching our children about nutritional food, but when they get their hands dirty and get their hands into growing of a crop, they feel some self-pride that they did something productive, and then utilizing it to show them how to eat properly and how to use those different fruits and vegetables and healthy meals. And then of course, agriculture is a huge industry. And so job opportunities and future plans for them can really come from their knowledge of agriculture. And maybe we spark a couple of them to want to be in the business of agriculture. We've also asked the Biden administration to have a permanent use of summer EBT and SNAP for our kids programs. So overcoming food insecurity is a partnership between our locals, between our local groups, our communities, obviously the state and the federal government. So on that partnership, I'm so grateful that we have United Way of Palm Beach County as part of that tremendous partnership. And I know just not United Way to Palm Beach, but throughout the entire state and the entire country, that you are true partners in this fight with us. And you will continuously have a champion in me that will take these issues to the state and the federal level to give resources necessary to our families. And so I cannot thank the United Way of Palm Beach County enough, and to all of you for working with us to help prevent and to fight hunger and to provide relief to so many of our families that are in need all across our state.
Hello, can everyone hear me okay? I know we've had a couple of connection issues. Thank you so much, Commissioner Fried, for informing us and such an informative and enlightening conversation. We really, really appreciate it. We just have a couple of questions. And one is, you've kind of touched on it, but what do you see being the biggest challenges in hunger relief moving ahead as the state of Florida and then as a nation?
You know, as I had said, you know, hunger, not everybody is even aware of it. And so one is education, to making sure that people are aware of what is going on in their communities, because the more awareness comes, the more engagement comes. I learned about, hunger and things when I was a kid. I was doing soup kitchens down in high school and going on Saturday nights and picking up all of the extra bread and extra food from Publixes and bakeries and going to the soup kitchens on Sunday. So I was already engaged, but teaching our business community about what is going on is really important. And so getting past the stereotype of what hunger looks like is really important. And of course, COVID-19 made food insecurity worse. But the silver lining that I've said a lot during COVID, that there seems to be silver linings every step along the way. When I talked about, when I talk a lot about Fresh from Florida and buying local, that the silver lining of the pandemic was that more people were demanding locally grown. And so there was a consumer conscious awakening. And I think the same thing is happening with hunger, that we all saw on every news station across the country. We all saw the food lines out of all the food pantries and food banks across the country. And so more and more people were starting to wake up and realize that there is a hunger problem in our country. So I think that the silver lining of COVID is that it has shed light on a lot of this public health crisis and what is going on. And more people are talking about it, when I had not heard that in the first year and a half of my administration. So I'm hopeful that the federal government also makes this a permanent from some of the changes that we've seen during this pandemic. So that way that we can see what worked and increase that as we kind of move forward.
And can you talk too a little bit about what the federal government is looking at right now? I know USDA is considering some improvements to the TFAP program and so forth. If you could share a little bit of that, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, so like I said, on some of the things that the federal government has already done that I'm hoping and I've been pushing on for permanency of this. It's again, extending the SNAP benefits until September. So again, trying to, look, we're going through, let's be real here. We're going through another COVID wave. That is happening. That is happening here in our state. That is happening throughout the entire country. We don't know how long this wave is. We don't know if this is a spike because it's summer and not enough people have been vaccinated, or this is legitimately another, we're starting all over again. I don't have the answers to that. I know that we all are going to be better prepared as if this does continue to go through. And then my other concern is, again, you heard in my bio about foreclosures, that this is something that I saw and we all saw and experienced in 2007, 2008. I'm fearful that that is kind of the next wave that's going to happen too, that once moratoriums start to kind of lift from any of the rent and mortgage relief, that you're going to start seeing that next round of foreclosures and people being evicted, which means that now they're just worrying about trying to get someplace to live. And so you're going to start seeing, unfortunately, people be making those really tough decisions about a roof over their head or an extra meal for their families. And so making sure that we are ready for that. And that's why we're talking to the Biden administration. They are more attuned to what is happening on the ground. So again, it's extending the SNAP benefits for how long, we don't know that, but pushing for that. Again, more aid for our food programs across the country. That means more money coming down to the states so they can buy more food for the food banks. And that includes also, again, Puerto Rico, continuing the EBT, increasing our WIC programs for our families. And then a lot of things that I talked about and was really pushing for during the early part of this pandemic, which was not granted until way too late, was flexibility in spending. That most of our all of our food banks that are receiving any type of federal government stipends and money are limited on who they can purchase food from. That there is a vendors list that is pre-approved by the USDA. And most of that has to do with packaging and their facilities and being able to quickly get food out to the consumers. Unfortunately, a lot of our farmers in Florida don't qualify because they're smaller farmers in nature. They don't package. A lot of them typically go and direct restaurants to the theme parks, to the cruise line industry, to school, somewhat to schools. But and so giving the flexibility that our school districts and our food banks can purchase directly from our farmers and know that they're going to still be reimbursed is a huge benefit, not only to them, but also to our farmers. So if we start seeing kind of that go away, I will also continue to push to let that flexibility continue across not only the state, but across the country.
Great, thank you so much. Really appreciate not only your keynote, but these very insightful and interesting answers to those questions. We will certainly stay tuned and look to support the effort in any way that we can. And again, thank you for being with us. And again, it was an honor to have you with us. And I'm going to pass this along to Seth to move on to our panel discussion.
And thank you. I just want to say thank you again, Julie and Seth and the rest of Palm Beach United Way for having me here today. I know that this is a true partnership, and things that are so important to you all are personally important to me, and not only my job, but more importantly, who we are. And for those who don't know, I've got my whole family in Palm Beach County, and I've got my mom and grandmother and niece and nephew and my sister. So Palm Beach County is certainly home. It's where my heart is. And so whatever you all need, to know that I'm only a phone call away and will be continued to be there.
Well, fantastic. Thank you again, Commissioner Fried. I know you have a hard stop in just a couple minutes, but really appreciate you being here. Appreciate your oversight of your division, of your department, and and all the work that you do around hunger relief for us here in Palm Beach County and across the state. And I also would like to give a shout out to your regional person, Ricardo, who is extremely supportive of our hunger relief plan and helped coordinate today's event with you. So thank you so much. And if we could all give a virtual a round of applause for Commissioner Fried, greatly appreciate your time with us again, and hope the rest of your day goes very well. Bye now. Great. So if the other panelists can come back on the screen here, we will get moving on our part 2 of this afternoon's Heart of the Matter event. Terrific. Great. Looks like 4 out of 4 we got, Julie. So I think we are ready to rock and roll here. Well, we have a lot of exciting things that are happening here in Palm Beach County, and have assembled an incredible group of panelists here locally and statewide, and representing national organization as well. So we're going to start. If the 4 of you wouldn't mind doing a brief introduction of yourself and tell us briefly about why you are passionate about working in the hunger relief arena. We'll start with you, Nancy Bolton, from the county. The county is such an integral supporter of our work here, and we are lockstep in our work around hunger relief, and greatly appreciate your efforts with us. Nancy?
Okay, great, wonderful, thank you. It's a privilege to kick it off. I am Assistant County Administrator Nancy Bolton, and I have the privilege of being a county staff liaison to the Hunger Relief Initiative on behalf of the County Administrator, Virginia Baker, who I believe is on this call. Thank you, Administrator Baker. Your leadership and that of our board of county commissioners has been a critical key to the success of hunger relief, particularly our hunger relief plan and its community partnerships working together to address hunger in Palm Beach County. I've been with the county for 17 years and have served in the role of Assistant County Administrator for a little over 5. I oversee a handful of county departments, including our Community Services Department. Through that lens, I've seen firsthand the incredible amount of need that exists in Palm Beach County. Despite our glitzy island just across the waterway and our beautiful beaches that attract visitors from around the world, amidst it all, we have neighbors suffering with food insecurity. So to address it, a wide array of partners representing all aspects of our community came together to produce the Hunger Relief Plan in 2015, and we continue to work together with a common passion to end hunger in Palm Beach County. During the past year, while the county was activated in an emergency capacity due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I experienced a hands-on opportunity to assist community feeding efforts through the emergency federal funding program known as the CARES Act. And with those dollars, the county played a direct role in purchasing and pushing an additional 5 million plus pounds of food into the food bank and pantry system. That consisted of shelf-stable food, protein. We also worked with our local farmers to push fresh vegetables into the food bank and pantry system. We partnered with the school district to assist with their feeding distribution programs through the purchase of local farm fresh items, refrigeration units, and other items to fortify their outdoor food distribution sites. We purchased formula for babies in partnership with Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies, provided meals for pickup for our seniors as well as delivery, eliminating a long-held waiting list and helping to ensure senior citizens were well fed while isolating safely at home. We funded the efforts of a number of grassroots community feeding programs out in the Glades. We had a Team Glades initiative. We had some initiatives with our local restaurants who stood up during the pandemic to actually feed the community. We worked with our community revitalization team in partnership with Maura Plant and her group, and just, creatively came together like Palm Beach County does as a community to feed our neighbors. And we created a prepaid debit card program that assisted over 13,000 households with dollars to purchase food directly from their neighborhood grocery stores. Moving forward with the assistance of the American Rescue Plan, We will look for potential opportunities to support the infrastructure around the established food bank and pantry system operating within the county. That might look like enhancing refrigeration and dry storage capabilities in the system, partnering with our local farmers to identify creative ways like hydroponics or greenhouses to produce farm fresh food year round to benefit the system. We look forward to exploring these types of opportunities and more with Julie and our invaluable partners at United Way. I'm delighted to be with all of you today and to have the opportunity to participate on such an esteemed panel. Thank you, Commissioner Fried, for joining this important conversation and for your leadership. And thank you, Seth and Julie and panel.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nancy. Love working with you and Ms. Baker. Thank you so much for being on the call. She did confirm she is on, and just always grateful for all of our partnerships that we have with the county. Thanks for your introduction and an overview of some of the efforts that the county's been doing on behalf of the residents here in Palm Beach County for the last year plus. Okay, so we'll move to introduction of Ruth Majeria. If you could give an introduction of yourself, please.
I'm Ruth. Thank you so much, Seth and Julie. And it's just an honor for me to be here and to be part of this panel. I'm Ruth Majeria, and I'm the Executive Director of Cross Ministries. And Cross's mission is to serve the hungry in Palm Beach and Martin counties through community collaborations. And we do this by through our food pantries, we also provide homebound delivered meals, 5 days a week, and also 5 days a week we are able to provide a hot lunch in Delray Beach. We have our gleaning program where we are able to work with the farmers and recover fresh produce that would otherwise go to waste. And as Commissioner Fried was talking about getting your hands dirty and introducing our children to where tomatoes come from, that is a real deal where we actually help people, and especially our children, know that we do not grow tomatoes at Trader Joe's. And then we also have our summer camps for children from families with low income. Camp is happening right now as we speak, and as well as providing a school readiness program and making sure that it's a safe place for children to be. We're also making sure they're getting lunch and snack, as well as food to take home over the weekend. So food is why we're doing what we do. I know as I looked through the list of participants, I know some of our partners are here, different non-profits that we partner with, our local food banks, and also our staff, cross ministry staff. And I want to give a major shout out to them for the work that they do day in and day out. And as I think about why do I do what I do, I think about there are almost 181,000 individuals in Palm Beach County who are food insecure. About 50,000 of those are children. That's about 30% are children. And it grieves me to think that there's people who, especially children who are going home and who are home hungry. And I think of, I have a child, he's now a young adult, turning 19 on Sunday. But I think of him when he was younger, and I would have done whatever it took if there was no food for him to eat. And that is who's coming to our different food pantries, our hot meal programs, our summer camps, because their children, their parents, just like many of us, and their children don't have enough to eat, or they have dependents. They have their parents, they're adults like us who are taking care of parents, and their parents who are seniors don't have enough to eat. And those are the new, the faces of hunger that sometimes we don't see. I know Commissioner Fried also talked about the fact that, hunger was out in the open, especially during the pandemic, where everybody had long lines. They were on TV and there were long lines and there were food banks. But as things ease up and we kind of get back to whatever new normal will look like, hunger will still be there. It's just that now it's going back indoors as it has been in the past. And so for me, I'm just excited to be part of this panel, to be able to talk about what's happened, our food insecure neighbors, our brothers, our sisters, and what we need to make sure that we're doing to ensure that there is enough food to eat, and not just enough food, but also healthy options are available. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Ruth, for your opening comments. And let me just say that this work cannot be done not only without our government and education and municipality and county partners, but also with our nonprofit community, and the nonprofit staff are just amazing folks who haven't stopped working. In fact, their workload has increased in the last year and a half. So thank you to Cross, and thank you to all the staff and leaders of nonprofits that are on the call today. Okay, so continuing with introductions, let's go to Kim Johnson, then we'll have Ellen do introductions, and then we'll start with some additional questions. Kim. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much, Seth and Julie, for having me here. I tell everybody I'm a new CEO, but an old CEO. Okay, so I'm actually the fourth CEO for Florida Impact. I'm 6 months in, and I'm just excited that you all thought of me to be here with you this afternoon. My story is simple. I'm going to keep it quick. When it comes to Florida Impact, we've been around for 42 years. We've had amazing leaders, and I'm excited to be able to take the lead right now and bring our organization into our next chapter. My story is simple. I'm the daughter of a Baptist preacher from New York. He's still pastoring for the last 46 years. And when I got the job, I went to him and I said, Dad, what is it that you think I should do? This organization has been doing amazing work. And he reminded me, he said, the one thing I want you to remember is that making a difference is a little bit more than what you think it is. He said, I want you to take a time and I want you to think about what kind of impact you really want to make. Now is great, but 100 years from now. So, I'm excited because, he told me the story when I was 10 years old. He said, that's when you became who you are. That's truly when you became an anti-hunger advocate. And I couldn't believe it. He said, yeah. So this is the thing. I hung out with my dad. I went to prisons. I went to the nursing homes. I went with him to churches where he actually gave money from the offering to moms who didn't have anything to eat for their kids. So it was at that time when I believe the spark to be an anti-hunger advocate was really ignited. And so this is just my opportunity now to bring, Florida Impact truly into their destiny, really, right now to make a difference. And I'm just excited to be a part of this great panel and just learning more about Palm Beach County, which I'm just so excited to even have the opportunity to be able to do work there, especially with Julie and the things that she's doing there. So this is it, guys. Kim Johnson is learning, and passionate since she was a 10-year-old little girl, and now I'm a not so, young little girl anymore. But I'm going to do the best I can to make this, just make the work count for what Florida Impact does.
Excellent. Love the passion. And you're joined today with about 115 other anti-hunger advocates and learners. So super thrilled to have you here, Kim.
Thanks.
Okay, last up is Ellen. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, please.
No, thanks so much, Seth. I'm Ellen Bollinger. I'm the legal director for the Food Research and Action Center, otherwise known as FRAC. We're a national anti-hunger group that's fortunate enough to work with and learn from a lot of partners across the country. And in particular in Florida, Florida Impact, you just heard Kim and understand her passion. But also we so appreciate the partnership with Palm Beach County United Way. Can't say enough about it. And in terms of why, I get motivated to work on hunger, it's an economic condition and it's one that's related to so many other economic justice issues. It's related to jobs and wages, housing, education, natural disasters, structural racism. But we know that there are remedies to it. And one part of the solution, it's only a part, but it's a key part, is leveraging the power of some of the programs that Commissioner Fried talked about, particularly SNAP, child nutrition, especially school meals, WIC programs, and those can help people access the meals that they need. But they're programs that also have positive effects on the economy, on education, and on health. So it's really getting at a lot of the broader economic justice issues. And on the economic impact, I'll just give you an example. The National Grocers Association, they represent independent grocers, but this estimate has to do with grocers overall. They estimate that in Florida in 2020, SNAP was responsible for driving total output for the economy in Florida of $1.1 billion. That's across grocery and supporting industries. SNAP was responsible for generating 14,000 over 14,000 jobs across grocery and supporting industries, including agriculture, manufacturing, transportation, and municipal services. And those jobs were associated with more than $447 million in wages, grocery industry and related industry wages. But one of the byproducts of these dollars turning over in the economy is that there's a boost to economic activity in Florida, but there's also a boost to state and local tax revenues. And for Florida, the boost in the increased revenues that are associated with the SNAP spending were over $65 million. So it's a very, impactful set of programs to work on. And I think to Commissioner Fried's points, the benefits and the scope of the problem, but also the solutions really touch on more than just a narrow look at the individual aid. For people who are interested in those data, we'll put in the chat, and I think Palm Beach County will be, United Way will be following up with resources anyway, but there's an interactive tool. And if you'd like to see those economic breakdowns by Florida Congressional District, National Grocers tool makes that available as well. So I would just stop there. I want to say thank you to all the attendees for making the time for this conversation today, but especially to Seth and Julie for including me in the panel and for what they do day in, day out. So I'll turn it back to Seth and Julie.
Excellent. Thank you, Ellen, for your opening remarks as well. So we do have a few questions that we'll have one or two of you answer, and then I see questions are coming through the Q&A section in addition to the chat feature. So if any of the speakers can take a peek at those, and if you can weave in any answers to them, that would be fantastic. And Ellen, you're absolutely right. We'll be sharing an email afterwards for everybody with the recording of today's session and all the resources that we're talking about. So if you have other resources, you're welcome to put them in the chat as well. But let's start with the first question. If someone is experiencing hunger challenges for the first time, and we've already heard about the enormous amount of people that have in the last year and a half, what would be your advice and how would you guide them? Who wants to take a stab at sharing some thoughts on that first question?
I'll start us off.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So one of the things I would say, is do not be ashamed or embarrassed about that, because I think it can be a very embarrassing thing, or you're ashamed that you're facing that kind of a hardship. And there are many resources that are available. I know Nancy Bolton talked about the Hunger Relief Plan, but one of the things that's happened, with the Hunger Relief Plan is the Palm Beach County Food Finder map that I know Julie and you all will be able, Julie and Seth will be able to send it out, and it's housed at, through the United Way website. But it's, it's one that's updated on a regular basis that tells you where the food pantries are, where the hot meal programs are, so that one knows. Because I think one of the things, especially if you've never been, I've been to the food pantry and people are coming to us. And one time I was at one of our mobile pantry and somebody didn't even know what they needed to do. Can I really get food here? Do I qualify? What are the qualifications? So I think that's one of the first things I would say, within the Palm Beach County Food Finder map. But there's also 211 that I would encourage people to dial 211, because 211 also keeps an updated list of food pantries and hot meal programs and other feeding programs in the community. And then also there, if you're struggling with hunger, you may also be needing other things. So you would be able to get some of that information through that. So that, and then there's also, as Commissioner Fried talked about, there are also free and reduced lunches through the school system. So it's also trying to figure out what does one qualify for. And sometimes that can be very overwhelming, especially if you have never been in that kind of a position. So Nancy, go ahead.
Great, thanks.
Actually,
Nancy, if you wouldn't mind sharing your thoughts, and then we'll move to Julie for the next question.
I think that Ruth summarized the opportunities very well. Just as a footnote, I would remind participants on the call, on the Zoom call, that again, we have a community that is wrapped around this issue. And so the Food Finder map is incredibly handy. I think all of you should go online anyway to United Way PBC and just click on the Hunger Relief tab and just check it out, because it's just incredibly user friendly. But through 211, through our community services department, we have a network of community partners that are committed to pointing our folks in the right direction. You know, our friends at our library system, and are in partnership with our food bank to make sure that people know how to sign up for SNAP benefits. And so there are a number of community partners that are here to help. We're advocates. We want to get people focused in the right direction.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you, Ruth, for your comments on that question. Julie, I'll pass it over to you for asking the next question.
Thank you, Seth. So our next question for the panelists are, with the longstanding issues around racial disparities and social inequities impacting our community's well-being, can you tell us how you see that playing out in Palm Beach County, and especially as it has been exacerbated by COVID-19? And for those that Ellen and Kim statewide, Ellen's national, certainly we're interested in your thoughts as well.
I know for me, you know, this is a conversation that I know we probably need a lot more time than 15 minutes to talk about, you know, but I really think about it quite often. And one of the things I think about is, you know, 30 years ago, I was a community probation officer. So I literally was out there in the streets of Central Florida, which is where I am, just, you know, meeting with families and children and parents, and just really seeing the things that were devastating to families. And here we are, you know, 30 years later, unfortunately, we still seem to be experiencing those same challenges, you know. So, you know, I thought it then, and I think it now, that, you know, there's so many things that come into play when we're thinking about what needs to be done. And so my thoughts are, you know, we need to think about the things that really triggers hunger, but really that hunger is just a kind of just one problem of many things. So, you know, as I would go out into the community, and still going out into the community, you know, as Ellen mentioned before, you know, living wages, you know, even, you know, people who drop out of high school, you know, we have teen moms in our community. We have moms who are experiencing, because of COVID, being hungry for the first time, you know. But this is the thing, you know, this has been going on for generations and generations and generations. And I know I'm speaking to the choir. So I believe what really we need to really do is you all are already doing it already. Palm Beach County is really, you taking a step to really take a look in your specific communities to be able to see what is really going on and what needs to happen. And because we know, yes, systemic racism has been around a long time. I mean, this is the conversation that we're having now, but it's been around a lot. As an African-American woman, you know, living in the communities that I've lived over the course of my career, where I've worked, the places where I've worked, I see it. I can't not see it. So the question is, what are we gonna do in our communities to make a difference? What we're gonna do is we're gonna band together to see, okay, what can we do as a community? You know, because when one hurts, we all hurt. You know, we can't just pass by, you know, neighborhoods and not want to say, you know what is going on and what can I do better? Because I know down there, just like here up in Central Florida, we have lots of affluent communities, but we also have lots of people who are living in poverty. So until we all make the decision that we're all in it together, and one team, one fight, and what can we do to make things better for everybody, so that we can give them the dignity and respect that they deserve, that's what I think is going to bring change. You know, I really believe that COVID, yes, it just kind of, you know, lit things up, and people are really seeing things that were happening before, but more so now. So now that everybody's eyes are open, then let's band together, let's make some changes.
I think the only thing I would add to what Kim you said, and you summarized it so well, and it's such a major topic. I think for me, one of the things that I also think about as we think about disparities is also, you know, access, transportation, language barriers, you know, just, you know, the immigrant community. As, you know, as an immigrant, I think about that sometimes there's some things that may be very, you know, people might know about, but it's not easily available for all. And so as we think about disparities, let's look at the whole big picture in terms of how do people access, even just the access of nutritious food, because it's not as simple. And so that, so these are bigger conversation, but I think, as you say, Kim, the biggest thing is for us to be able to work together and figure out how do we do this? Because as I said before, if someone is struggling with food that doesn't have enough food, that's not the only thing that they don't have enough of. There are very many things.
Right, and I think that when you do drill down to the basic need of a belly that is comfortably full, and Commissioner Fried touched on when poverty enters into the system, people are eating processed food, and that affects their health, and that affects their ability to function properly at school or at work. And so it's important that we provide culturally appropriate education for, we're going to provide you with healthy food, and here's how we prepare that food. Here's education to help you prepare the healthy food. But also we have to be sensitive to those cultural appropriate ways that people are used to consuming their food. If maybe, they do come from different cultures than just good old USA burgers and fries on the grill. And we can learn from that too as a community. So I think there's opportunities here to address racial disparities in a way that benefits all of us.
One of the things that I'm thinking about as Nancy was talking real quick is that Florida Impact, we've really been thinking about this whole nutritious and healthy eating that we want, that all of us should be living in, so we want to, at some point, we want to really, especially when it comes to SNAP, and many of our families are on SNAP and we want to try to get more. But one of the things we want to do is really to do just what you said, Nancy, is try to help to educate communities about healthy, nutritious meals, and this is the thing that I've noticed is that a lot of times we have to understand that parents, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're in the middle, I think as they want their children to be healthy. They want their children to be healthy. It's about access. It's about knowledge. It's about information. So I believe if we can provide that information to our families all across our state on what it would take for them to be healthy, that's where we need to be. And I know Florida Impact wants to be able to really do that for our families and in our communities to make everyone much more healthier, and also give them just the pride to know that they're doing something for their family that is good.
Yep. And Julie, if I could just jump in, I think I'd just add to what Kim and Nancy have said, that it is also, of course, about whether or not the parents have the means. And so purchasing power is really key to people being able to get those nutritious choices. The education's one thing, but we know SNAP benefits only averaged about $4 a person a day before COVID-19. And Commissioner Fried talked about these temporary boosts that are expiring in September. There have also been some other boosts that are separate from that. And we know that during COVID-19, at least the SNAP benefits have been somewhat more adequate, $7 a person a day. Now, that's not a tremendous amount of money, but it makes a big difference in terms of whether or not they can make those choices that are the healthier choices. It's no wonder that when there was research done about what the barriers are to SNAP households being able to eat healthy, the number one identified by 61% of SNAP participants, cost of food. The benefits just aren't big enough. So as Commissioner Fried noted, extending the boosted SNAP benefits is a top priority. And from FRAC's point of view, that's a need that's not only for the duration of this economic crisis, but also beyond. And I think, I absolutely agree with Kim. Parents want to make the right choices for their children, I think.
Thank you for all your thoughts on that too. And as you will be able to see on our website, and certainly can contact us with any questions through an email on our website, the Hunger Relief Plan and all the community partners are working diligently, not only on SNAP advocacy, outreach to get people signed up for it. We also have the Healthy Corner Stores initiative, where we're working with corner stores to provide access, and residents to provide access in their neighborhoods to fresh, affordable food. utilizing their SNAP benefits. We're working with the health, Fresh Access Bucks as well. And there's a multitude of projects going on. So we're more than happy after this to answer questions. I know you'll be getting resources as well. So thank you for your thoughts on that very much. We appreciate it.
Great, back to me, right, Julie?
Absolutely. Thanks,
Excellent.
Seth.
Yep, you betcha. So we did say at the beginning that we may go a little bit over time today, given that we started a few minutes late. So hopefully you can bear with us, as many of you as possible can hang with us. But the next question that we have is, given your knowledge and resources, from your organizations and your experience since you were 10 years old, Kim, you probably have some ideas about, innovative ideas. We see in the Q&A, Perry Borman, who's very well respected and known here in our community, talked about food preservation ideas. Julie talked about healthy corner stores. Any other thoughts about how the community can, best partner together on innovative ideas? And if you have any of them that you're aware of, if you could chat briefly about them.
Well, right now, remember, we have the summer break spot programs that are going on in our communities across the state. So right there is just, communities are pulling together to provide meals in churches, in nonprofits, in libraries, all over the place, trying to make sure, our kids are eating. Also, we're trying to push the Universal Meals Act, that FRAC is leading leading us nationally, that would permanently provide free meals for kids. So there's lots of awesome things that are going on in our communities that families need to know about. So once again, they can look on I'm sure each of our websites, or get the information from United Way, where you can get as much information as you can. There's so many organizations down there in Palm Beach County that are doing amazing work. And all they have to do is just call and ask. I mean, I'm gonna tell you what I did, because I'm new to the role. I called around. I called around to see what I could find out. And I did say, I'm Kim Johnson from Florida Impact. I said, I'm Kim Johnson. I need some, can you give me some information? Because I'm learning, right? And the agencies that I have called, Ruth, Cross Ministries, Feed in South Florida. There's something, I was so excited to say, you guys are handling your business down there. And the county is just amazing work.
Excellent, thanks, Kim. So as others are thinking about their answer, I do want to mention Allison Monblow, the School Food Services Director, and a really strong partner of ours from the School District of Palm Beach County, along with Paula Triana and others, mentioned in the chat that all meals are free to all students this upcoming year. So, that is just amazing. So, so many thanks to our school district in working that out for our youth and our families. So, I know there was a question earlier about state of California was opening up that similar thing. I think that was a statewide comment. So, Palm Beach County, we're taking care of our youth during the school day. And after school, I believe too, Allison, if I'm right about that, right, Julie? Yeah. Other thoughts? Great. Other thoughts from the panelists around these lines of, other innovative efforts, given your knowledge, or ways that the partners can best work together?
Well,
I
Seth,
don't think, go ahead.
I would just add to what Kim said in terms of the opportunities that the people who are attending this are all experts. You're experts on your community. You're experts on what you're experiencing, what you're observing, and don't be afraid not only to advocate and speak up, but let us know and let policymakers know what's working and what isn't. The experience of customers for the programs is extremely important. Business pays a lot of attention to customers, and increasingly, I think you're going to find that the public benefit programs are also much more interested in finding out what it is like from the customer point of view, so that these programs can better serve people's needs. And if you're looking for suggestions on the bills that you could advocate around, and Kim has mentioned that, FRAC is working on universal school meals at the federal level. We're also working on SNAP legislation at the federal level for college students and for others, and to boost benefits. You can find all that at www.frac.org. But again, don't be afraid to speak up and to inform all of us. Your advice and expertise matters a lot.
Ellen, would you mind sharing just a couple of pieces of information or thoughts about the thrifty food plan that they're working on as well, and how that will affect SNAP hopefully in the future?
Yeah, so this sounds fairly wonky, I think, to people when we say thrifty food plan. But if you think about it, the government has a few market baskets, food plans that they use for different purposes. And the one that is the most meager is called the thrifty food plan. It's the lowest, and it's used only to set SNAP benefits. It's one of the reasons why benefits only average about $4 a person a day prior to the COVID boost. That is not at all adequate, and we know that. Fortunately, USDA, which operates the programs, United States Department of Agriculture, is reviewing what's in that market basket. It has not been updated in a real way for many, many years, and they're going to look and see whether a lot of the assumptions about how people eat and what they need to cook and what is really a basic diet, they're going to be reviewing that, analyzing it, and we think there's a good prospect that by the end of the summer, they may announce what their revisions would be, and if they're at all what we think they ought to be based on our research, then that would lead them to a more adequate market basket, and that would mean that SNAP benefits would go up. So again, it sounds like a very wonky kind of a research evaluation thing that's going on at the federal level, but really important. And if it happens, and we think it should, we think it's merited, you will see the results in bigger SNAP allotments for households and more benefits being redeemed in the grocery stores in Florida. And again, that would be so important. It's probably one of the most meaningful things that's happening behind the scenes right now.
Seth,
Thank you, Ellen.
I'm sorry, I just want to
Excellent,
put in a quick plug in to something that may not be as innovative that we do all the time, because I know there are different community groups here, but we can always use volunteers because for us, especially as nonprofits, to do the work that we do, we rely a lot on our volunteers. Food drives are so important. And I want to say this because sometimes you might think, I always say this, that, I'm only bringing just a small bag of food. How on earth will that help feed those 181,000 individuals in Palm Beach County who are food insecure? But if we all bring a bag together, we will be able to, provide enough food that is needed. So I just want to put in, some of that, because sometimes we don't think about just the things that are very simple for us to do that can help to move the needle towards more food security for our neighbors.
Seth, one of the things I did mention, I don't think I even said, what does Florida Impact do? I know everybody's like, what do you do? So I can tell you one of the things that we do is that we mobilize communities to help leverage federal dollars, state, locally, and in our communities. We work with churches, nonprofits, and other organizations in the community. We do lots of community engagement, which we love. We've been doing that a long time. So any organizations that would love to partner with us, we're always looking for new partners. We have some already down there in Palm Beach County. We're always looking for more. So thanks.
Excellent. All right. So I know we have some questions in the Q&A and in the chat that I'm sure we missed. Julie, perhaps we can, if we didn't answer them here live during today's Heart of the Matter event, we can reach out to them and answer them. I know one of the questions was, is there a consolidated list of local farmers markets? If anyone's got a quick answer to that, you can put it in the chat if you don't mind, or we'll reach out. Another question was about urban agriculture and how we can better work in that area as a community. So we didn't have time, unfortunately, to get to all of that. I know an hour, like you all said, is quite never enough talking about hunger relief, especially with the needs and the involvement of the whole community and all the partners that are involved to get through the conversation. But do want to greatly thank, first of all, Commissioner Fried for being the keynote speaker, and to each of you, Ruth, Kim, Ellen, and Nancy, for being our panelists for today and sharing your thoughts. Any of us are available, for follow-up questions. We can share our email addresses in the chat box if you don't mind. I know, as we said at the top of the hour, any of resources that we share will be sent out to everyone, along with a recording of today's session. And before I pass it over to Julie for any closing comments and note of gratitude, let me just let you know about our next two Heart of the Matter events that we'll be hosting as United Way. So we're going to be hosting one called Education and the Digital Divide in Palm Beach County on September 15th at noon. And then our last one of the year will be around the faces of homelessness in Palm Beach County. So two other very important issues and populations that are very important to us here at United Way. The homelessness session will be on November 17th at noon. So hope you can join us for those sessions, and appreciate everyone's time this afternoon. And Julie, let me turn it over to you for your closing remarks.
Okay, thank you, Seth. And many, many thanks to our panelists who took the time not only to participate with us today, but to be with us throughout the years, working on hunger relief and all the hunger relief plan, and making sure that we are doing the very best job we can in our community to address hunger on a systemic basis, working with our residents, our nonprofits, our businesses, our education institutes, and so on. We've got Kim, Ruth, Ellen, and Nancy are all members of our work groups. If people on the call are, and Nancy chairs, I should say, chairs our SNAP outreach and our hunger advocacy work group. And we've been able to accomplish some really wonderful things to help increase SNAP benefits and so forth during the pandemic, among other things. But if folks on the call are interested in getting involved and would like to learn a little bit more about our work groups or some of our subcommittees and the work that we're doing, please visit our website, check it out, see what you're interested in, and be sure to contact us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions, see where you might be a great fit to work with us. And we're really looking forward to the coming years as we continue to move the needle to watch those numbers go down of food insecure residents in Palm Beach County. Lastly, I will say, and it's because of all the partners, not only participating on this panel, but and the efforts by Commissioner Fried and her department, but it's because of our community partnerships and relationships and then the dedication that we have, that during COVID, our food insecurity numbers went up more than 12%. And the projections that we just got from Feeding America a couple of weeks ago for 2021 is we are back down just under where we were before the COVID pandemic started. So that I give kudos to the entire community and all the work, the county, the nonprofits, you name it, everybody together is what made that happen. So we thank you all. We look forward to future work together and to seeing those numbers go down and really making things happen, not only at the local, but at the state and national level. So thank you.
And many thanks to our marketing and communications team who have put together this wonderful event. And thanks again for Ricardo for being with us here on the stage, and just keep up the great work, and love our partnerships. And thank you all so much for being here. Have a great rest of the day. And if the panelists can hang on for a moment, that would be great.